All right, let's get started. My name is Neil Rayleigh and I work in the admissions office. I'm also a Middlebury grad from the class of 2012. And thrilled today to be talking with you about community engagement as well as innovation at Middlebury College. We at Middlebury, so much of what we do, so much of what our students do stems from our mission statement. Through a commitment to immersive learning, we prepare students to lead engaged, consequential, and creative lives, contribute to their communities, and address the world's most challenging problems. Two of the ways in which this really manifests at the college is through community engagement as well as innovation. This might happen both inside and outside the classroom. This might happen both on campus and off campus. And it certainly happens during a student's 4 years at the college and beyond as well. So we're joined here today by two offices that have the lion's share to do with innovation as well as community engagement as it manifests on our campus. One of those offices is the Center for Community Engagement, also known as the CCE, and the other is the Innovation Hub. So I'll have folks here on our call quickly introduce themselves, starting with EJ.
Hi, nice to meet you. I am EJ Bartlett and I work for the Innovation Hub.
How about Ben?
Hi everybody, my name is Ben. I'm a rising senior and I'm an intern at the Innovation Hub as well as an Oratory Now coach and a Midcore graduate.
Francoise?
Sorry. Hi, my name is Francoise Nijena. I'm from Rwanda, and this year I'm a senior doing a double major in neuroscience and psychology with a minor in education studies, and I'm really passionate about education development and empowering young people.
Jason?
Hey everybody, my name is Jason Duquette Hoffman. I'm an assistant director at the Center for Community Engagement here at Middlebury.
And Tenzin?
Hi everyone, my name is Tenzin Dorji. I'm a recent class of 2020 graduate, but right now I'm serving as an AmeriCorps Vista at the Center for Community Engagement.
Wonderful, thank you for that. So now we'll pass it on to our panelists to tell you a little bit more about innovation as well as community engagement.
Great, thanks Neil. I wanted to first just recognize that we're all in a little bit of a global pandemic, and I'm sure that you all are coming here with just a lot on your minds. So I appreciate you taking the time to be here. I know a lot has changed for you, and I just wanted to recognize that. I wanted to also share that I have two amazing students that have done a lot with the Innovation Hub with me, both Ben and Francoise. And so I'm very lucky to work with both of these students. I am going to share my screen and we're going to just go through a little bit of a presentation for you all. First and foremost, the Innovation Hub. It is a hub for creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and social impact programming. We work alongside all of the experiential learning centers, the Center for Careers and Internship, and the Center for Community Engagement, who Jason represents today. We wanted to break down the Innovation Hub into some buckets that make it a little easier to understand it because it's a lot. We offer course credits, so you can take a class at the Innovation Hub. You can take Midcore, which is an experiential learning class that happens twice a year, both in January as well as in the summer. You can take Mid-Entrepreneurs, which is something that happens in J-Term. You come to that class with your own ideas. Global Health Minor is also run through the Innovation Hub, and Oratory X is actually a PE class that you can take around public speaking. You can also find funding at the Innovation Hub. There's a pitch competition called Mid-Challenge. There's Mid-Start, which is actually a crowdfunding platform for students. And then Social Entrepreneurship Fellowship. I look forward to hearing what Francoise wants to share about her fellowship. There's also space that you can get at the Innovation Hub. Old Stone Mill is what we call it. It can be anything from, I want a space to paint my paintings, to I have a small business and I want to start a small business and I need space to start that. We also have a lot of mentorship. Oratory Now is actually coaches from the students that coach oratory public speaking. And then Midcore is actually a class that is taught purely by mentors. So you can take that course, and we have over 50 mentors that come in 1 month. Mid Entrepreneurs is also mentor led. And then we even have relationships with Vermont Small Business Development Center. And then the wonderful thing about coming to Middlebury is that Vermont's a really small state. And so we have a lot of ties and connections to the state to really bring some student ideas to life. And then there's always events that you can come to and enjoy that the Innovation Hub puts on. So Middlebury TEDx, there's a scavenger hunt that happens, as well as multiple different speech competitions. But I really want to have both of our students have a little opportunity to speak. So I'm going to turn it over to Ben, and he's going to share some of his experiences.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Midcore. Just a little bit more background. So I said I'm a rising senior. I'm an international and global studies major with a focus in Latin American studies and a minor in sociology. And so Midcore is, as EJ said, it's a 4-week program that happens twice a year. And basically what happens is mentors who are professionals from all different industries come and take the Midcore cohort through a bunch of different activities. And you end up doing presentations, you work on public speaking, you're solving a lot of real world problems. And it's really a program to get you out of your comfort zone. And as somebody who didn't know what they wanted to do after Middlebury, it's really the perfect thing for people in that position. And kind of like, it's very hard to describe in a short amount of time, but the biggest things for me that were really valuable from it were getting a network of peers. And if you want to go to the next slide, EJ, you can see a picture of the January 2020 cohort. And we were all super close, and I'm still in contact with a lot of them, as well as a lot of the mentors who came in to do activities with us. And yeah, it was super valuable. And I guess kind of the biggest thing is putting in a liberal arts education, you learn a lot of different abstract things. And this was kind of the first chance I had to apply them in a real world setting. So to give an example, one of our mentors was a vice president at Microsoft. And he said, okay, this is a problem that I faced when I was there. And without telling us how he got through it, he said, he split us into groups and said, all right, now you guys figure it out. So kind of real world scenarios that let you apply your skills. And if you want to go to the next one, EJ. Thank you. And then, so Oratory Now is a public speaking organization. And I joined it because I was not good at public speaking. And it was kind of like the best way to force me to practice. And the way it works is a group of students every semester trains to be a coach. And we don't pretend to be experts. It's a peer coaching organization, but we just learn how to make each other better. And as a participant, you can book sessions with a coach, whether if you have a presentation coming up, or if you just want to get better, you can book time with a coach. It's absolutely free for them to help you work. And then coaches will also come into classrooms. So this in the top right corner, you'll see this was an Oratory Now workshop that happened actually during Midcore. So there's a lot of overlap between all the programs. And it's really like a fun way to reframe how you think about public speaking and make it a little bit more bearable, because a lot of people come in being really terrified of it, and it's not so bad. So both of these programs were really a way for me to meet people who I probably wouldn't have come into contact with otherwise, and kind of work on life skills that have been super valuable. I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do going out of mid, but these programs kind of helped me figure out how I'm going to figure that out. And they were really, really important in seeing how I could apply my skills outside of the classroom. And I know Francoise has a lot to talk about as well, so I'm going to let her continue.
All right, thank you, Ben. So hi again, Francoise, and just a quick fun fact, I'm actually calling in from Middlebury College, currently completing my 24-hour room quarantine. And I promise you it doesn't always look like this, but I have plenty of time to do my decorations because I'm here alone and waiting for other students to come in the next couple of weeks. But so coming into Middlebury, I felt like, I think my biggest regret from high school was I felt like I wasn't able to connect what I was learning in the classroom to what I was passionate about and the things I was interested in outside the classroom. And I wanted that to be my experience when I came to college. And so I am happy today to tell you that I think Middlebury and especially our different experiential learning centers have given me all kinds of opportunities and really way more than I could have ever imagined. So today I'll share a little bit about some of my experiences. And the first one, in my freshman summer, I participated in Midcore, which EJ and Ben talked about a little bit, but my individual innovative idea was to reform education in Rwanda. And so I was lucky to be supported by a group of really awesome mentors who are also experts in education. And when I left that, I really wanted to be able to implement what I had learned and worked on at Midcore. And so I was looking for funding and more mentorship, and that's how I learned about the Social Entrepreneurship Fellowship, which is really competitive, but every sophomore year they'll select about 7 to 8 students, and we have access to mentorship and funding of up to $7,000 that you can then use to, a lot of the students who are selected are people who are passionate about leadership, social change, and really having an impact in their communities and have all these great ideas. So we have funding and we have mentorship, and we're able to do that. So having access to this funding, I was able to, my sophomore year, lead an enrichment program, you can see, with 7 to 12-year-olds. And I was connecting that idea to, well, my initial Midcore idea on rethinking education, but I wanted to refine that to use what I was learning in my then favorite class, child development. And my enrichment program was on social innovation, emotional intelligence, and cultural immersion. And it was really a great experience. And then at the start of my junior year, I took a class again within the SE Fellowship on social impact and social innovation. And really the idea, the focus was to give us skills and tools and frameworks to be able to become change makers. And so using that, I then, within that class, I worked on an independent project, which was connecting what I was learning in that class, but also what I was learning from my education studies class to do a project on the history of colonial education in Rwanda, its prevalence and impact, and actually work with young people on that. And I was funded by the Academic Endowment Grant from the CCE, and the rest of my funding came from my SE Fellowship. And I was able to work with about 1,000+ students in Rwanda, which was really amazing. And I guess just in general, to sum up my experience with experiential learning centers, for me, when I think about this, is I can't imagine a time that I've thought about an idea or a project or something I wanted to do and not had funding or support and mentorship to do that, which some of my friends today call riding the panther. So looking forward to answering some of your questions.
As we transition now to talking about the CCE, I just wanted to remind folks to type in their questions at the bottom of their screen. There's a Q&A feature. So you can certainly start sending those questions in right now as well, and we'll get to them once we're done with the presentation section.
Hey, everybody. And again, my name is Jason, and I'm one of the staff members at the Center for Community Engagement. And I want to share with you all a little bit about our work generally. But before I do that, I really appreciated EJ taking a moment to just acknowledge that this is a unique way to enter into college this year. And we all understand that. And one of the things that we want you to know is that although some of the things that we do might look a little bit different in this fall as we all get started, that know that all of us here are working to extend everything that we always try to do and offer and work with you on into everything that we do, even in these sort of differing circumstances, right? So some of the things that you hear me talk about, or you hear Tenzin talk about in a minute about community engagement work might look a little bit different this fall, but we're still carrying forward with the same spirit and in just a new and innovative ways. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get going. So I'm going to share a little, just a few slides with you all and talk a little bit more, and then about, in general, what we do at CCE. And then I'm going to hand it over to Tenzin to talk a little bit about the experience as a student doing this work, and now transitioning into a new role as a supporting staff member here at CCE. So to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So we are, as I said, the Center for Community Engagement. We are constituted here on campus. The focus of our work is really to help you as a student to develop a sense of civic identity, to understand how and where your learning operates in context, and to extend the learning that you're doing in courses and in all of the co-curricular and extracurricular work that you will do into what's happening in communities, whether that is the community here in Middlebury or Addison County, Vermont, when you're here, whether that is your community where you're coming from, or another community that you're entering into around the world, wherever you go next. These are opportunities for you to take what you are learning and really engage with that in the context of what's happening in the community around you, right? And that's what we are about, what we offer. And so our programs focus on learning, not just your learning in the classroom, but our learning as staff, our learning as faculty, and our learning as community members, all with each other in various different ways throughout a number of different contexts. Generally, Middlebury has a very strong orientation toward community engagement. Over 75+% of Middlebury students are active in even in just the local community over the course of their time here at Middlebury. And that isn't just because, as incoming Middlebury students, you all have such an incredible drive to be engaged in doing this work in community, because we know that you do. But it also is the case because so much of what you're learning and doing has implications for and linkages to the problems that we all face in communities all here and around the world, right? So here are just some of the ways that we operationalize, like, what does it mean to be doing community engagement work? Like, it's a buzzword. What does that actually mean? Here's what it looks like, right? It can look like community service, right? So we have students who are out providing community meals every week throughout the entire academic year and across the summer. And as I said before, sometimes this looks a little bit different in this kind of unique situation that we're in right now, but it's still carrying forward. As an example, we have a student organization that supports some of the local nutritional and community meal programs. When campus closed last spring, they dedicated the remainder of their organizational budget to funding community meals that carried that community meal program through the entire summer. And our dining services department helped supply some of the meals as well. These are ways that we extend the interest that students have out into meeting these community needs where the community needs are, right? And we drive that work based on what the community says is important. It also can look like our alternative break trips. And again, sometimes these go and sometimes they may not go depending upon the conditions. We'll see what happens this year, but they are under planning. These are student-led, student-driven, and student-planned community-based work that happens over the break, like over February break, where students go into communities in the past that has been places either here in Addison County. It could look like working with RAICES on the border, supporting folks who are seeking asylum on the border in El Paso, Texas. It could look like working with a rural community in the Dominican Republic, or doing environmental sustainability work on the coastlines of LA. So these trips happen all over, and they are varied depending on student interests, and planned by students, executed by students across the board. And we support those trips throughout the year, and the planning for those trips throughout the year. We also have extensive programs that connect you as incoming college students with local, regional, and even global youth as mentors, as friends, as learning peers, in all sorts of different ways. We have students who have one-on-one mentorship relationships. We have students who go into classrooms and share their experiences across the globe in various cultures with local school classes, whether that's elementary, middle school, or even the high school, all over the area. There's a whole host of ways that you as incoming college students can connect with and support youth, particularly local youth, but also youth around the world. And we do a lot to support that. Language in Motion is one of those programs. This is where students who have experience living or speaking another language, living in a place other than the rural Northeast where we are right now, can bring that experience into local classrooms and try and share with local students a little bit of what some people's perspective live in places other than this might be like, and a little bit of what life might be like in some of those places, and develop those relationships. It's a great program, and it's carried forward even remotely, and we're looking forward to a strong participation this year as well. We also have a variety of summer programs that offer you an opportunity to extend your learning out into communities, both here locally in Addison County, around the United States, and even abroad. One of those is the Japan Summer Service Learning Program, which takes a cohort of students working with universities in Japan to go and do community-based work in Japan for a number of weeks over the summertime. Another one of our summer experience-based programs is part of our Privilege and Poverty Academic Cluster. And this is a program that is the focus of a lot of my work at CCE. Privilege and Poverty is an academic program here at Middlebury that lets you really design and apply your learning and interests into a collective program that examines the causes and consequences of economic inequality. And part of that academic program is a requirement that you do some experiential learning associated with that work. Most of our P&P students will opt to pursue that as a summer internship. We have partnerships with 7 local organizations that support our summer interns. This past summer, that was a mix of remote and in-person, depending on the context. We also have a partnership with a national consortium that places students all around the US with partner organizations there called the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. And these summer learning experiences let you really explore what you're studying about economic inequality in any number of classes that you might take through the lens of what's happening in communities. How does it play out in a particular place at a particular time? And how are those communities dealing with those issues? We also have a variety of ways in which we connect community-based learning to what's happening on campus. So we support through funding and through support for faculty and TA training programs, a variety of courses to really focus some of your learning work on addressing the problems that we see in the challenges and the issues that come up in local communities, right? Working with community organizations, working with community partners, identifying what their priorities are, and then exploring how to best address those priorities with them through the process of learning in the classroom as well as in community. And so we do that in a number of different ways. A new example of that this semester is a course that we are teaching out of CCE, which is going to support community-based projects that individual students have identified and designed in conjunction with a community partner. And we're excited to begin the process of being able to offer that class on an ongoing basis. And as I said, some of the impact can be global. We have a funding program that can support projects all around the world, particularly where there are cross-cultural implications, but also where there are ways to extend the work of a classroom out into community through our academic outreach endowment grants. And then there are, beyond these things, there are also a whole host of ways that we can tap into funding resources that the college has secured and identified in an ongoing way for students to really tackle issues and challenges in the community that the community has identified that they want to work on. So there are lots of ways that we can support projects that you want to take on, partnerships that you've developed, interests that you have. If you have an idea or a concern or a project that you want to work on in conjunction with a community partner, we are here to help and support that. All of this stems from the fact that here at Middlebury, and particularly underpinning the work of the Center for Community Engagement, we believe that higher education has a public purpose at its core, right? That higher education serves the public good. And we know that when you're coming here, right, that this is something that you will share with us as well. And we look forward to learning more from you about what your interests are, what you're excited about getting involved with, and how we can best work with you, learn from you, and support you in that process. But to give you some better examples of kind of what some of that process might look like, I'm going to turn it over to Tenzin to talk a little bit about her work now and as a student in the past. Go ahead, Tenzin.
Thank you, Jason. So right now I'm serving as an AmeriCorps Vista at the CCE. And so in that role, I am sort of advising and guiding the youth and mentoring student organizations that are on campus right now. But when I was a student at Middlebury, I myself participated and was involved with Community Friends, which is one of the youth and mentoring organizations that we have on campus. And I was also part of the alternative trip that Jason mentioned earlier. But with Community Friends, so I want to talk about Community Friends first. And Community Friends is a one-on-one mentoring program where you take college students and you sort of match them with children between the ages of 6 to 12 in Addison County. And once you're matched, then you sort of have one-on-one weekly meetings, and you spend about at least 2 hours per week just doing any sort of activities that you would like to do with your mentee. And during those times, it's a fun way to just sort of be engaged and sort of hang out with someone that is not college student and be doing just sort of little kid things that you normally would not do when you are within the Middlebury academic rigorous sort of period. And then the other experience that I sort of had as a student when I was at Mid is the MALT alternative trip. And so I was fortunate enough to participate in 2 of the trips there. One was actually with Francois my sophomore year, and then the second one was my senior year. And so those trips are a great way to just sort of participate both locally and internationally, because some of the trips that we do provide are both local and international. And so one of the trips that I went on to was to Costa Rica and this past year, and where we sort of helped the indigenous group that were out there sort of just build build greenhouses and just helped with their general forest restoration projects. And so all those experiences just combined are a great way to be involved with just the Middlebury community when you're on campus, but also having that expand internationally or just go globally. You see that happening, and just being involved in it is a great experience. And I think that once you do come to campus, it's something that you definitely would want to dig deeper into and be involved with. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that look into the world of community engagement and innovation at Middlebury. I'm always so inspired by my colleagues and students who are doing so much, not only to sort of learn more about themselves, but also to make true and lasting impact in the world. I'm going to share at this stage, I'm going to share a screen that has some names and contact information, and then we'll pivot to doing some of the questions that have come in, sharing some of those questions with our panelists today.